Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Nama of the DC camp, branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. First and foremost, call Allah Yahweh, Shem Yahushai, Shem Kahabardash. And of course, once again, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Salutations also go out to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways. Alright. Not to mention the numerous amounts of videos that help further put this truth out there and for it to circulate around four corners of this earth. We do this, all right, put all this out there so, hey, people can familiarize themselves with the truth, all right, and we're hoping that you study yourselves. That's the whole point, all right, because you have to be convinced in your own mind, first and foremost, right, and we're telling you to repent now while time yet remains for you to do so, because that window is closing. All right. So once again, this guy, as the title says, humiliated. I doubt that very seriously. These are some low-life pieces of shit. Quite frankly, I think they're incapable of being humiliated. They're just evil. All right. This is from the Young Turks channel. And they did it to him again. People are tired of the bullshit. This devil here, Mr. Milkowski, he's steady going to that well, boy. And it's at this point, it's pretty damn dry. But you still got some idiots out there, unfortunately. I have to speak mainly about the American idiot. All right, the diehard so-called white Christian male, all right, that's clinging on to this, you know, we are the people of God and all this, you know. Wow. You know, the hardcore racists. Let's go ahead and get into this video. And remember, let me get it real quick. Start off with a scripture. Let's get Psalms. Because this is very, very relevant to this. This is Psalms 55. In 21, it says, the words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart. His words were salter than oil, yet were they drawn swords. He keeps promising, hey, if you do this, yeah, okay, we'll release. They call them prisoners when these people that they rounded up, I'm talking about the Israelis, hadn't done anything, and they tortured these people for 2 years. Some of them were killed in the process, or I should say murdered. Some have amputations because of the brutality that they suffered in those torturings. Yeah, it's, and still these proud devils, and this also lets you know who runs this world. How do you explain being able to continue this for 2 years straight, murdering 67,000 last count, including women and children, and doing it with impunity? Now that's power. All right. Remember, the earth was given into the hands of the wicked, Job 9:24. So you know who's ruling now, in case you didn't already know. All right, and they're trying to make it harder for you to even question, with all these bullshit laws coming out. If you dare criticize them, if you refuse to do business with them. Here we go. Let's roll.
He talks there, about people flinching in the face of evil as they have killed tens of thousands of innocent children. No, I think these countries are aware of what evil is and what it looks like, the acts that it's perpetuating, and the lies that it tells to try to ward off, the culpability for the acts that they have committed. The fact that there has been some international solidarity with Palestine is not an indictment of those countries. It's an indictment of everyone who hasn't yet joined it, including the country that unfortunately we are broadcasting from for this show.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel. Please order in the hall. Please order in the hall. Please order in the hall.
Do you think it's doable to apply for a residence card on your own, or it's better to get help from the pros?
I honestly don't know what that guy's complaining about. There was order in the hall. They formed an orderly line as 100 diplomats representing over 50 countries walked on out of there. They weren't pushing. They weren't shoving. It wasn't a crowd. They were like, no, I'm not listening to this. Peace out. And then they filed out of the room. And so many in the assembly didn't end up hearing it because most were out. They weren't interested in hearing what Benjamin Netanyahu had to say. But some people in Gaza did hear it because the Israeli intelligence broadcasted into Gaza on loudspeakers placed along the border and even live streamed it to hacked cell phones so that Hamas or the hostages could listen to it. See, they can get a propaganda speech into Gaza. Food is just so much more difficult. I mean, who can figure that out?
Now, imagine that. See, this is a trademark of these devils. They will not leave you alone, even if you're minding your own fucking business. In this case, these people have been bombed back to the Stone Age. All right, I'm not going to jump the gun on it, but they're forcing you to listen to their propaganda. That's more torture. That's psychological torture.
How do you get food over a wall? It's too difficult. Everybody back off of them. But getting to the actual content of the speech, he did what I think most people were expecting he would do in an address like this, making clear that the war is not done anytime soon. Take a look.
We're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
Yeah, I believe him in some of that they want to finish the job. I disagree about whether he'll correctly identify what that job is that he's trying to finish, but
All right. We're back. I had to get this up real quick, and I pulled up some other things that I had forgotten momentarily, but, well, that's solved. All right. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research, of which I am doing. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statutes that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. All right? So the red got the riot act out the way, so to speak. And this is what, all right? See, there's a method to their madness. All right? And what they want to do is build a little playground for themselves over in that area. They're getting these people out any way they can. All right, and here's what they're really doing. This is called also the Ben Gurion Canal as part of this. The Great Trust for Gaza. All right. See, one of the ways they make a lot of money is when they destroy shit, they'll bring all their friends in to rebuild. Who are they rebuilding for should be the question. The question that's asked. All right, the Great Trust for Gaza, a blueprint for dispossession. Now, this is the equivalent of what they do over here called urban renewal, and we know what it really means. It means Negro removal. Sure, we'll fix everything up. You'll be allowed to come back, but how many actually are able to? It's this, but much on a grander scale. All right? And it goes into the Trump administration is currently discussing the so-called Gaza reconstitution, economic acceleration, and transformation, as in Great Trust plan that projects a futuristic vision for the enclave after Israel's ongoing war. The plan builds on President Donald Trump's controversial February 4, 2025 remarks that the United States would take over Gaza and turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East. How about that? Wholesale slaughter. So he and his rich friends can have a little playground. After relocating its more than 2 million inhabitants to other countries, no matter how they do it. Although the White House walked back those comments the next day, the new Great Trust plan, it doesn't matter what they say. I just read you Psalms 55th chapter. All right, this is what they do. This is their MO. All right, let's continue in this video here.
But nobody's surprised that he's saying the war is going to continue. Of course, the war is going to continue. It's going to continue as long as there's a man, woman, or child of Palestinian descent still alive in the world. As long as there's an inch of Gaza that isn't prepped to be bulldozed and turned into a resort, clearly the war is going to continue. He'd word it differently. He's got better PR consultants than I do. But I think most people at this point understand what the point of all of this is, what the point of these speeches are, what the point of the war is. And bear in mind, the context for this is that more and more countries represented in the UN have now voted to acknowledge a Palestinian state and are being very critical of Israel for the war crimes they're committing on a daily basis. And Netanyahu also fit in time to complain about that.
Many world leaders buckled. They buckled under the pressure of a biased media, radical Islamist constituencies, and anti-Semitic mobs. There's a familiar saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, for many countries here, when the going got tough, you caved. As we fight the terrorists who murdered many of your citizens, you are fighting us. This is not an indictment of Israel. It's an indictment of you. It's an indictment of weak-kneed leaders who appease evil rather than support a nation whose brave soldiers guard you from the barbarians.
Oh, goodness. This is, let's go to Proverbs. You get to the point where you just shut yourself off because you just really, you know he's full of shit and lies. All right, this is a Proverbs 26 and 20. Well, let's start at 27 because ultimately this is what's going to happen. It said, whoso diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. Such as the prophecy states. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it. All right? Twisting things around so to make yourself seem so innocent. And like I say, you're murdering men, women, and children. As he's going to get to, they're just sniping children. And also what he said earlier about they want to pump in all that propaganda with loudspeakers, but you wouldn't let any food in and other supplies. All right, but you can't tell a Christian that these are some wicked, evil people. And a flattering mouth worketh ruin. Oh, isn't that true? And a flattering mouth worketh ruin.
at the gate. They're already penetrating your gates.
Got the nerve to call somebody barbarian. The low life of the earth. Again, as the scriptures have told you, Job 30th chapter. All right. Daniel 4:17.
Yep, the remaining fragments of Palestinian society are the barbarians at the gates. Any day now, Canada will be invaded by the 2nd Infantry of Palestinians busting down the door. He talks there about people flinching in the face of evil as they have killed tens of thousands of innocent children. No, I think these countries are aware of what evil is and what it looks like, the acts that it's perpetuating, and the lies that it tells to try to ward off, the culpability for the acts that they have committed. The fact that there has been some international solidarity with Palestine is not an indictment of those countries. It's an indictment of everyone who hasn't yet joined it, including the country that unfortunately we are broadcasting from for this show. We have more, but I'm gonna jump to you, Ramesh. What do you make of this?
Well, look, it's strikingly similar, right? Netanyahu's speech to Trump's, right? It's two countries that are now incredible that one of them is ours, that are isolating themselves from the rest of the world and endorsing, wholeheartedly. We're not just endorsing, we're funding and supporting it fully. We're the only reason it's continuing. An insane genocide that it should never occur. We should never have mass genocides on this planet, and I know it's not the only genocide that's occurred, including in recent years, but it's berating the UN, which is basically, and it's the same thing Trump did, right? Basically telling the rest of the world, you guys suck, and we are not with you anymore. So what's going to happen, right? And just this key point, can't say it enough. The only reason this is continuing to happen is because of the United States. Okay, it's great that a number of countries supported the idea, or announced recognition of a Palestinian state. But that's not enough, right? If you look at what happened during the South African apartheid state, and by the way, it's remarkable how South African leaders are a huge part. They're on the flotilla as well. Mandela's grandson is on that flotilla, heading to Gaza. It's if you look at that state, what crippled it were economic sanctions and boycott and divestment, right? In this country, if we
Speaking of which, apartheid. Those Dutch motherfuckers. All right, it's proof. Further proof, it's the same people. This is what they did with since the time of Columbus. It never stopped. And this is why we're like, are you people brain dead or something? You don't see these are the same people, no matter if they call themselves South Africa, no matter if they call themselves Israeli. It's the same thing, except they have a yarmulke on their head. And you fell for the lie that they have any connection with the ancient Israelites. Wow.
support or engage at all with boycott and divestment, we could be imprisoned. It would be considered illegal. It would be considered anti-Semitic, even though it has nothing to do with Judaism. In fact, many Jews, many of the people who support this are Jewish, this process. So I just want to say, this is that the actions of the IDF are eerily similar to the actions of ICE. They're both paramilitaries that kidnap and murder people now, we're seeing. And just think about the parallels also about the ideas of relocating Palestinian peoples to some third state where they'll basically be a refugee population, marginalized population, and how similar that is to what ICE is doing with people it's detaining here in LA and elsewhere and trying to push them out to random places in the world that have nothing to do with where they're from, such as Sudan, South Sudan, Libya, etc. So yeah, it comes down to that, right? It comes down to kind of kidnapping paramilitary or actually just standing up for people not being murdered.
Sir, your shape is incredible. How many times per week you visit the gym?
0. I'm just doing military workouts every morning.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. It's kind of tough for me to stomach any of this guy's public remarks because rarely does he do anything but lie and spew just hateful propaganda. It's tough. And the thing that kills me is that the bile he's able to spew is he's only capable of doing this because of they're being buttressed by the American government. They say it all the time in Israeli media. In the Knesset, it's like we could not do any of this without America's backing. They couldn't do this on their own. And so to know that our leaders have the power to put this genocide to an end and they don't, it just kind of kills me. Like, even just watching that clip, he's like, oh, they say every day they want to do another October 7th. And I'm just like, man, like, we've all seen the videos and pictures of what you guys have done in Gaza. And you mean to tell me that these people are just as capable now of perpetuating what they did on that atrocity on October 7th as they are today? That's a complete failure. That's an indictment of the strategy. Like, what are we doing if that's the case? Which we know it's not. Like, is the security of Israel is not under threat by Hamas. What happened on October 7th was a security breach. Like, they kind of were sleeping at the wheel, and it allowed for these militants to come in and do an atrocity, and it was horrible. But for us to sit here and believe that they're just as much in danger right now today is you got to be an idiot to believe that. And just his finger wagging. And, the sort of bravado that he speaks with, it kind of makes me sick. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. No, 100%. And also the idea that, like, okay, so is it likely the case that there's somebody in Hamas that wishes they could do on October 7th every day? Probably. You know why he's telling you that? So that you will use that hypothetical to ignore the October 7th that they do every week. Not hypothetical, that they do. I mean, they've done what? 1, 2, 3 October 7ths of civilians just waiting for food in lines, let alone all the others. And it was tragic. You know what else is tragic? Dropping a building on families, blowing kids apart, setting them on fire. IDF snipers blowing their heads off, blowing their bodies in half, targeting the kids. 82% of those who have died have been civilians. Those are not hypotheticals. Those have happened every day for a couple of years now. And Netanyahu is doing his little propaganda tour so that you will shut the hell up and let them keep doing it. So that they can kill the next 100 civilians, the next 1,000 civilians, the next 10,000 civilians, and you'll just shut up about it. And they will gradually corral the rest of the population of Gaza down into the extreme south so that they can be packed up and shipped off. So that the few who haven't been murdered by the Israeli government will have the land stolen from them, but they'll be sent to slums around the world, and that'll be it. Their society will be gone, their land will be stolen, their civilization will be ended. Everybody shut up because of hypotheticals and just let them do an ethnic cleansing, okay? Because some deranged terrorist who imagines insanely that they could ever do anything to Israel, he might want that. So you should just let the worst war crimes on the face of the earth go forward. And not only should you shut up about it, but you should keep paying your taxes so that money could be sent to Israel, the weapons can be sent to Israel, so that we can help to perpetuate those war crimes on a daily basis. That is what the point of the speech was. And I apologize for going on a long time.
Yeah,
I know our audience has heard so much about this already.
It's just for me, honestly, when I hear these guys speak in public, let's just, like, if we carried their logic down the road, right? Like, let's just say one of the groups that Israel has declared their mortal enemy, right? Like, okay, our enemy are Hamas. Our enemy are the Houthis in Yemen. Our enemy are Hezbollah. Our enemy are the Iranian nation, right? Let's just say they carried out a strike, okay, that killed hundreds of people, 82% of which were Israeli. The world over, U.S. media, everybody would be like, this is a tragedy. This cannot happen again. We need to, it's all hands on deck to make sure this never goes on again. In fact, we need to treat that country like a pariah nation. They're done. Much less they continuously carried out these attacks over time. And tens of thousands of Israeli children were killed by the Iranian military in what they deemed to be a war. 82% casualty rate. Everybody would condemn this. Everybody would, and rightfully so, would be like, this is some of the most horrible stuff we've ever seen perpetuated in our lives. And yet this guy gets to go with the UN and pretend that he's fighting this just war against this ragtag group of pea shooter having dudes in Palestine. It's just, it's crazy to me.
Two other quick things, right? Like, one is a little ray of hope is I feel like the vast majority of people around the world, perhaps the vast majority of governments around the world, are against this at this point. They know are at, and enough is enough.
Okay, fine. But how did it get to over 2 years? And almost 70,000 people that we know of. I don't trust the count, to tell you the truth. How did it get this far? Let's pick up another video. This one's about to end. Let's go to Sabby here. Like I told you, the son-in-law, Jared Kushner, to Trump. Let's hear this young man here. Let's see. Here we go.
Plans, because this is what they've been pushing for, folks.
What if I told
And this is Sabby Sab. She's out of Boston.
you Gaza already has a business plan, not for peace, not for rebuilding lives, but for luxury resorts, AI tech hubs, and billion-dollar highways? I don't usually touch the Israel-Palestine debate in short form. It's too complex for 90 seconds. I save it for the podcast. But yesterday, I posted one simple fact. Most of the world supports the Palestinian people, while Israel spends hundreds of millions on propaganda to cover that up. And like clockwork, outpoured the uninformed hot takes. So let's throw one more truth into the mix. Last week, Netanyahu was in town with Trump. They unveiled a 20-point plan to end the war, built by Jared Kushner, Trump's son-in-law, and billionaire Steve Witkoff, Trump's special envoy to the Middle East and his partner in a crypto company, by the way. The plan? Keep the IDF in Gaza while a board of peace, led by Trump and overseen by none other than Tony Blair, the globalist who gave us the Iraq war, while he manages the transition. No ceasefire, no two-state solution. It's not a peace plan. It's a takeover plan.
Exactly, like we've always said, which it should be common knowledge and common sense at this point. Follow the money, because ultimately, with these devils, it's about that dollar.
See? And that's why, oh, by the way, the other reason why they need Hamas to disarm is because they want to be able to feel safe coming over into that land to enjoy what they have built. That's the other reason why they want Hamas to be disarmed. And let me tell you something else. For those of us who are familiar with rebuilding, look, you can look at the history here in the United States of urban renewal, when city officials made promises to different Black communities that we are going to rebuild the projects. We have this urban renewal plan, and it's going to be all pretty and nice for you to live in. But what they leave out is that while this rebuilding is happening, you can't live there. You are pushed somewhere else. The idea is that once it's all done, you'll be able to come back. But a lot of people, particularly in the US, were not able to come back after that happened. Same thing's going to happen here in Gaza. In order for them to build this Gaza Riviera that they want to happen, and a lot of billionaire money is coming in, folks, in order for them to build this, the Palestinian people aren't going to be able to stay there. Not all of them aren't going to be able to stay there while they do this rebuilding. It also means that I would not be surprised if they knock down the remaining buildings that are already there. So you see what I'm saying? So what they're going to do is have to temporarily displace them, and they'll say you'll be able to come back once it's all rebuilt. Only they won't be able to come back for two reasons. One, Israel is not going to let them come back in. The other one is they won't be able to afford to come back, because once it's rebuilt and it's redeveloped, it is going to be at a rate that the average person, especially Palestinian people, a lot of them are unemployed. We talked about this before October 7th. They're not going to be able to afford to come back there to live anyway. That's the next phase of displacement. So you see, that's what we knew from the start when Israel said they're going to come in. They wanted to wipe it all out and say to flatten it. This been a project. This project didn't come out of nowhere. I do not believe this project was created all of a sudden after October 7th. No. This project has been in the works for quite some time. I'm willing to bet on it. Let's continue here a little bit.
Because what they didn't show you was the actual blueprint for New Gaza, also drafted by Kushner and Witkoff, and backed by Saudi Arabia and the UAE under a shiny new name, the Great Trust. Gaza reconstruction, economic acceleration, and transformation. It's all in the slides. Gaza, Trump, Riviera and Islands, waterfront luxury condos and hotels,
Yep.
Elon Musk Smart Manufacturing Zone, MBS and MBZ Central Highway, named after Saudi and Emirati rulers, and the American Data Safe Haven. Who wants to bet Larry Ellison gets this plot? And a nice little section for unexploded bomb clearance. Number one, this whole protect against the Muslim shtick, it's getting old. Saudi Arabia and the UAE are deep in this deal. Number two, how is Jared Kushner, who already took $3.2 billion from Middle Eastern sovereign funds, how is he in charge of both the official Israeli peace deal and the business deal to profit from it? And finally, why is it always normal for billionaires to kick people out of their homes so they can gentrify the land and call it stability? Their own documents say they want to turn Gaza into a $320 billion asset within 10 years. This is not charity. It's not peace. It's the same boys club running the same money play with human lives as collateral, apparently for your safety. Seriously? Does this look like a peace deal?
No, it's not. And see, this is a lot of people have been duped. And I was many of us, but I was one of the ones that came forward and said there was no ceasefire. Like people were lying to you about that. Here's that plan that he's referring to, the Great Trust. So you guys see the picture. This is what they want to make Gaza. They want to turn it into this. And this is supposed to be this great place, for billionaires to come through. And again, like they said, a tax haven so that they can just come there. See all this? Gaza reconstruction. This is what I was saying. You think they're going to let the Palestinian people enjoy all of this? Hell no. This is also why that, one of the reasons why that peace deal also did not include, FYI, also did not include a Palestinian state. That's another reason why I didn't include that. Now check this out. If you look at
now you see why they were dragging their feet on it. They had no intention of letting those people have their own spot, their sovereignty.
This map, it says a thriving Gaza at the crossroads of a new Abrahamic architecture. Gaza is an Iranian outpost in a moderate part of the region that will threaten IMEC, Abrahamic architecture, and undermine any future Palestinian governance.
Another reason why they're trying to get them out of there and have them disarmed, like was stated earlier.
So that was the risk and the opportunity. See, this is what this is all about. Gaza is a regional trade hub at the crossroads of the ancient sea route, Egypt, Gaza, Babylon, and the incense trade route, India, Yemen, Arabia to Europe. So you see how they got the lines drawn here where Gaza's right there and yada yada. Now they're talking about trade. I wanted to show you something else here. The IMC's bridge to the Mediterranean. This is Gaza 2035. So you see, they already got a plan. And like I told you, I don't believe this was decided after October 7th. This to me looks like something that was planned a long time ago. And as you see, it says right here in red, Elon Musk Smart Manufacturing Zone. So the red dots here, that's supposed to be Elon Musk Smart Manufacturing Zone. They've been planning this. Smart cities design. Sound familiar? Don't you hear them talking about smart cities here? So you see everything, and this is displacement, gentrification all over again. That's what you're seeing, folks. I do not believe they're going to let the Palestinian people stay here to enjoy that. What we got, again, wasn't a peace deal. It was just basically a delay because they plan to have this done apparently in 2035. Land trust and tokenization. I can put this link in the chat for you guys so you can see. I mean, it's all about money. And again, it goes back to the billionaires. Now let's show you just a reminder what Candace said, because she gave a warning about Jared Kushner and them a couple of days ago. Listen to this.
85% of Gaza has been destroyed in this pre-planned, controlled demolition of Gaza. Bibi Netanyahu is on camera explicitly before October 7th saying we need to hit them so hard that they can't come back. Jared Kushner is involved in, he will financially benefit from whatever they build in its place. Again, all of this began before October 7th.
There it is. So everybody see? Now let's connect the dots, ladies and gents. Before October 7th, remember what we said, that it was reported that the IDF decided to stand down on October 7th. Remember it was reported? And people were like, well, why would they do that? It was also reported by the New York Times, of all outlets, that Israel knew about Hamas's planned attack.
You even had IDF soldiers that had questioned that, and they're on record.
A year and a half prior to the attack. They had already received intel about the plans, but decided not to take it seriously. This is the same state that decides to shoot a dog because they said the dog is Hamas. But you're not going to take an escape plan seriously? Really? And the IDF stood down on October 7th. That was also reported by multiple outlets. Then you see
they use that as an opportunity to further this plan so it could go ahead. These some wicked motherfuckers. All right, that's it on that. Let's see. This one here, Jimmy Dore. This woman, what's her name? I don't even watch her no more. I couldn't stand to listen to Amanpour.
Out of Israel torture dungeons, showing signs of torture and even lynching, CNN's Christine Amanpour was forced by Zionist Big Brother to apologize for stating the obvious truth that Israel captives were returned home in far better condition. So they're releasing the hostages. Who is Hamas is? And I just want to remind you of these headlines. The cruelest form of torture. Freed Palestinians describe horrors of Israeli jail. So who do you think gets treated worse? The people who are being held by Hamas or the people being held in Israel? The Palestinians being held in Israel or the Israelis being held by Hamas? Turns out it's the people being held by Israel that are receiving way worse treatment than Hamas's hostages. Here's another one. Taken hostage by Israeli military. Freed Palestinian prisoners describe widespread torture.
Salaki. I just want you to, this is a whole nother video in and of itself, but just to let you know that this is bullshit. All right. Like I said, they returned, what was it, 90? If this thing, well, I don't know what's wrong. Wow.
Freed Palestinian prisoners tell horrific grape torture in Israel detention. We all know that.
They all know it. They all are proud of it. They would never do that, but they're like, they'll do anything. You know, people that are pro-Zionist, they all do this.
Le Monde, this is a French newspaper, says in Israel prisons, hunger and torture are ever present. This is from Israeli returns Palestinian prisoners' bodies with signs of torture, mutilation, and execution. So they're returning dead people, dead bodies, to Hamas, and those Palestinian prisoners have signs that they were tortured, mutilated, and executed. Some of them had their limbs amputated because of the torture. Israel on Wednesday returned the bodies of dozens of Palestinians abducted during the Gaza genocide, showing signs of torture, mutilation, and execution, as one U.S.-based news site reported, a description consistent with the testimonies of former prisoners held by Israeli forces over the past 2 years. So far, Israel has returned 90 bodies, dead people, with more expected to be handed over soon as part of the ceasefire agreement reached with Hamas last week. So
these motherfuckers got a lot to pay for, and they will answer for it. Believe that. All right. So that's, I mean, I'll put all these links in the description box, and you can watch them in their entirety if you so wish. But for this video, the point's been made, and that's going to be it. Yeah, this is why we pray for the Lord, for Yahweh Shah to come back. All right. Like Matthew 24 and 22 said. Let's get that. All right, this is Matthew. It says, Yahweh Shah foretells destruction of the temple. Let's see, it's going down. The abomination of desolation. All right. It says, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, that remnant, all right, those days shall be shortened. We can feel that. We have for the last several years how time is just speeding up. All right. Thankfully. All right, so once again, I hope whoever views these videos have been edified. That's what we do here at Great Millstone. This is one of several videos I've used. This is the main one, Netanyahu humiliated. No, I don't think so. As world leaders walk out, he could give a shit. All right. Because he knows he has all the power. And he does. All right, that's how they could get away with this for 2 long years, slaughtering people. All right, so once again, I'd like to remind everybody to be circumspect out there. Keep your head on a swivel, because it's only going to get more dangerous from here on out. You're seeing these Edomites, especially these people that haven't experienced much hardship until recently, you're seeing they're not handling it well. All right. And we know that's a identifier of who we're dealing with here. We're talking about these Edomites. All right. So with that, hey, until the next video, shalom.